morning. Welcome to Winnipeg in the year 2023. Do you remember 23 years ago this morning, we were wondering if we were going to be waking up and our computerized systems would have crashed? A lot of us at that time were using the older computers that had the older clock chip or whatever you call it in it, and it was a 2-digit chip instead of a 4-digit chip, and I had one. And we thought that, in fact, at midnight we had friends over for New Year's Eve, and we had candles out and flashlights out, and we were in all readiness. It seems to me I even had wood for the fireplace in case the power went off, and we had to heat the house with the fireplace. Yeah, that was something, and nothing happened. At least not here in Winnipeg, as far as I know. But that was kind of fun. Anyway, that was 23 years ago, just like last year almost. In fact, I got a phone call from one of the people that was over just yesterday, and to see how I was doing and so on, and we talked about that. Okay, now, we do not have a rollback because yesterday, instead of coming back to the model table like I often do, I got busy doing other things. Well, actually, I did spend quite a bit of time fooling around with my compressor, my new compressor, which we will try out here. I have an expansion tank. It's an 11 Canadian gallon expansion tank. I'll show it to you after. It'll be like 41 liters. And I was going to try and hook it in connection with the new compressor. I'll show you later. You know what? I think we should just sort of recompose here a little bit, and the new compressor, I did run it a few times. I did sort of test it out. Well, it's right here. It obviously held its air overnight because I've got it plugged into the same system as my overhead lights, and when I turn the lights on, then it powers up the compressor. So yeah, it's still plugged in, and it is turned on. And it didn't cut in when I turned the lights on. So in other words, it's holding its pressure. I think I had it set for around 10 pounds or so, but we'll test it out and just see how long will it spray after the tank is charged before it kicks back in, and then how long does it take to recharge itself when it's blowing air at, say, 12 pounds or something, or whatever a person would be using. Why don't I just stop talking and recompose and start doing our little tests and get this over with, and then we can get back to putting some little parts on our ship. Okay, this is that expansion tank that I was talking about. It's 11 Canadian gallons, which works out to 41 liters. And I don't know how much it weighs. It's not too heavy. Now you can't help but notice something dripping down the side of the tank here. Well, what this was my coffee. When I was sort of moving things around here earlier, I was taking a sip of coffee and I wasn't being careful, and I slopped a little bit of coffee on it. Just a little bit, but I guess I didn't wipe it up enough. I thought I had. I can't get away with nothing. And it doesn't matter if it's full of air or if it's empty of air. It's going to weigh practically the same. Yeah. Okay. Right now it's still got 60 pounds in it. And the idea is you plug something into it, and then you've got portable air pressure for. I got it mainly for topping off my tires on the car. I got this several years ago from an outfit here in Winnipeg called Princess Auto. I've talked about them before. And Princess Auto is here in Canada like Harbor Freight is in the United States. I don't know what you call those kind of stores in Europe or Australia, but what they do is they do have some brand name stuff, but it isn't going to be any cheaper than anywhere else. Like I've seen genuine vice grip and I think I saw some, anyway, it doesn't matter. But most of the stuff they sell, it's going to have a real fancy handle that's going to catch your eye. A tool with a fancy handle. And you're going to think, oh, that looks great. But the tool itself might be kind of not very good quality steel, if you know what I mean. Or maybe the size is just a little off, like maybe you're getting yourself a number 2 Robertson screwdriver and it looks really nice. But it's not quite exactly the right size. Okay. Enough about Princess Auto. They had this thing on sale for about half price or less. It was, and I saw it and I thought, hey, it'd be kind of a handy thing to have. So I got it. And my thinking on it was, why don't I go from this tank to this tank, and then from this tank to the airbrush? And that way, the pump isn't going to be, compressor is not going to be cycling on and off as much. But when I was messing around a little bit with this last night, I found that it wasn't cycling on and off near as much as I thought it was going to. We'll actually test it out. I'll superimpose a timer on the screen so we can tell exactly, Anyway, that's what I was talking about earlier, the expansion tank. I just wanted to show it to you. Okay, now let's get this off the table here. Okay, I've got my wattage meter set here. I haven't actually tried this, so I'm hoping it's going to show watts and not volts or some other crazy thing. This is one of these sophisticated things that you can program your hydro rate or power rate into it, and it'll tell you how much it'll cost at that particular. Anyway, I just want it for watts. I think we all can figure that out. Okay, so we're set for 15 pounds here, and we're just going to let it run until it starts. And the idea is we'll see if at full bore. Now, by full bore, this is the small needle and nozzle. It's the 0.3 millimeter, the last one we used. So if we were to have a larger needle and nozzle in there, naturally it's going to cycle a lot in and out a lot faster. So we're all turned on here, and we'll just go at full bore, and then I'll edit out the dead spots, and I'll superimpose the timer over top of everything, and it'll give you an idea of what's happening. Otherwise, could go on all day. Well, not that long, but anyway, here we go. Now, it was just a coincidence there that right after I touched it to see if it was getting hot, it shut down. I don't think that had anything to do with. I realized that I did release it there for a few seconds, but we'll just see how long it takes now to cut in. I believe it charged up to about 62 pounds when I was testing this last night. And I think it cuts in when it drops down to about 48. When the airbrush is not on, it recharges a lot faster, obviously. Okay, now, it would be a little difficult for me to talk if it was right here on the model table. I was finding last night that if I set it on the carpet, that it was a little quieter than if it was sitting on the plywood floor. And I think I mentioned before, the reason I got a plywood floor underneath is so that my chair will move around. It doesn't dig into the carpet. Now, the problem is, when I had it over on the carpet, yeah, the hose would reach over here, but it was awkward for turning the pressure up and down. Whereas when it's right down here, I can just look down and quickly turn it up and down. I used to have the regulator used to be over there on the post, if you remember. So we're going to have to rearrange things a little bit and get used to having the hose coming over my right shoulder instead of my left shoulder. But we'll get it here. Oh, did you notice that the wattage? I forget what it was. About 116 watts or something. Or is that what it said? Well, I'll see when I do the editing. It didn't draw very much. Now this is only a 1/5 horsepower motor, and I think the one that I got downstairs in my workshop is 1.5 horsepower. So this is 15 times smaller. But it's not too noisy. I'll put it down under the table here, and we'll get it to start up, and you'll see what it sounds like. Well, maybe I won't put it under the table. Let's see here. Okay, can you still read that? Try and get the light just right. If the reflection's wrong on these kind of LED lights or LCD displays, my goodness, all this fooling around. Okay, here we go. Like I said before, it's a good thing I can cut out the dead spots. I really don't think it makes any difference if I pull the needle right back or not. The only thing the needle does is change the paint flow, not the airflow. So I can talk over top of that quite normally, and you should be able to hear me. Let me just pick it up off the plywood. It's a little bit better. So maybe if I mount it on foam or something like that. Hundred and 117.1 watts. That's practically nothing. That's like not much more than an old-fashioned incandescent 100-watt light bulb. Okay, have we wasted enough time here? I think we have. We'll probably sooner or later we're going to actually have to use it for real. I'm happy with it. I'm very happy with it. Okay, now about Pizza Day. I vowed that on January the 1st, which is today, I was going to go back on my diet. I just calculated out that there is approximately 450 calories in this pizza. Yeah, if it weighs about 180 grams, and I think I worked it out that the average pizza has approximately 2.5 calories per gram. So yeah, anyway, yeah, I got to get back on my diet. I put on a lot of weight in the last year. I haven't put it all back, but I put, you might say, most of it back. Yeah, so I'm going to get back on my diet here. I don't know if I'm going to eat all of this. Well, I probably will because I know the first time I have a little nibble of it, this is going to whet my appetite and I'm going to go out of control. Well, one thing I wanted to mention, you'll notice I've still got my Christmas lights going. Well, I'm going to keep them going until January the 8th because here in Winnipeg, Ukrainian Christmas, I believe, is on the 7th of January, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a lot of Ukrainian folks in the area, so to honor their Christmas, we'll just keep it going. And I'll take them down on January the 8th. Anyway, let's see what we can do here. Okay, we are basically back to where we were just before the Amazon driver came yesterday. And we were talking about the orientation that these things have to go in, which I think is this way. And yeah, and I think I said I was going to put the macro lens on, didn't I? Okay, well let's just do that here now. Now this is the, to me, a thick. And the plan is that when I start moving this around, ooh, that's going to be too much, maybe. Let's cap that off here. And hopefully it's going to run down in the right places and not out into the planking. I think that will probably wick its way down. If I was to pull that off, we should see where it would be. Yeah. Okay, let's see if I do the other one maybe a little bit more delicately here. That's delicately? That's even worse. This is not going. Maybe I should have done a dry run there. Oh, there it's on, but it's kind of wicked out a little bit. I don't think it's as bad as the thin would have been, though, because the thin would run right out into the planking. Okay. Okay, no more poking. All right, this is the last of the M2s. We put quite a few of those down already. But before we put that down, let's put down our, what is this one here? It's called M29. I want to just do a dry run here first, make sure it's going to fit on there. Oh yeah. Now, once again, I'm hoping that it's going to make contact and just sort of wick its way down without wicking its way out. Okay, no more poking. Now these two I'm just going to do off camera. We did so many of those on camera before, and I'm going to obviously, most likely, have to shave them down so that they'll fit in there. They just don't seem to, these do not seem to fit in as good as their counterparts on the Bismarck and Rodney and Hood. Yeah, okay, so we'll see when this is done. Okay, it seems to me that at least twice before I said we'll put the macro lens on and have a close look at these, because these are the ones that I accidentally painted with the 19 and then did a paintbrush job with the 66. So yeah, we'll take a look at this one here. This looks like it's probably the worst one. I can see on the very top of it there, it looks like maybe I didn't clean the flashing mark off as good as I could have. The story of my life, right? Okay, let's try not to let it drip on the deck. Looks like the far end of it has to come out towards me just a little bit. Okay, I think that's pretty well flush with the edge of the hull. Just let that settle, and then maybe I'll reinforce it with some, or maybe I'll just leave it alone. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now and do the other three. So yeah, we'll see you in a few minutes here. Okay, unless I've missed something here, and I don't think we did, that is it for step 10. Yeah. What do you think, Pete? That made his eyes pop out. Okay. Step 11. All right, now it looks like in step 11, before we actually get into it here, we have to put a photo etch ladder on a J22 and a J21. Well, that shouldn't be too hard. Okay, here is J21, here's J22. They look like they could accidentally be put on wrong, so we may as well try and keep them separate here. Okay, this is 22. And this one is 21. Now they are going to have to be painted. Alright, maybe that'll give us an excuse to try out our new compressor. But you know what? I think that's going to have to be in tomorrow's episode. So yeah, I'm going to call it a day here. I know I probably could do a little bit more, but yeah, I want to see if I can't maybe get my new smart device to talk to my router and all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, and then I want to, oh yeah, last night I watched about 2.5 episodes of the Santa Claus. At first, when I first started watching, I thought, you know, this is just too juvenile for me. But they put enough adult, I guess content you'd call it, into it that sort of kept me going. And yeah, well, I watched 2.5 episodes. So then I was getting sleepy. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. And all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.